Superman Year 1 Issue 1 sees the world of Krypton's air boil and the land explode as the planet destabilizes. Jor-El and Lara race through the chaos, knowing that the council wouldn't listen to them, but they still can save their son Kal-El. Lara wraps her young son up in a cape as they run through the crowds of doomed people to Jor-El's lab, where he is put in a rocket. Saying their final goodbyes to their son, they are obliterated in the heat. The ship escapes Krypton as the whole planet explodes. In the void of space, baby Kal-El listens to his mother's voice singing him a lullaby as he falls asleep. Later, the boy awakens and in the black void sees a new planet, Earth, the one his father had told him about. Crashing to Earth, Jor-El's voice tells his son to awaken, as the world needs him and needs his many labors to perform to reach their true destiny. The child pushes open the cockpit and coming face to face with Jonathan Kent and the Earth's yellow sun. Jonathan can't believe what he is seeing as the boy reaches out for him. Jonathan takes him back to his truck as Kal-El knows the man means him no harm. Heading to his farm, Jonathan presents the boy to his wife Martha. Martha sees the boy as a gift from heaven, wondering where exactly he even came from. Jonathan doesn't care, since only where he is headed is what counts. As time goes by, Ma and Pa Kent reveal the boy as their own, naming him Clark. Clark explores the world from Pa Kent's shoulders, and the boy knows he can do more than other people, like run impossibly fast, causing Ma and Pa Kent to be run ragged trying to keep up with his energetic playfulness. The seasons change and soon does Clark, who begins developing other powers, like heat vision, which is activated when he is fed oatmeal that is too hot. Clark begins to dream of flying with nothing holding him back. His dream wasn't actually a dream though, and he awakens miles from home, wondering exactly how he got here. More nights pass and his super hearing begins emerging, making him hear all the sounds of a quiet night on the farm, only turned up to 11. One day a preteen Clark is playing catch with Jonathan, who is teaching him how to properly catch the ball in his baseball mitt. The ball bounces under a hay trailer and Clark goes to fetch it while Pa is impressed with the boy's cannon for an arm. Soon Pa learns that Clark actually upended the trailer to look for the ball. On the first day of high school, Jonathan drives him to school, where his friends are itching to see him. Pa Kent warns him to watch himself, since if he goes in and starts thinking he is better than everyone else, nothing good will come of that. Clark knows that he isn't better than anyone, just better at doing things than most people are. School begins and Clark heads to science class, where his teacher asks his class if they know what might be up among the stars. As they all play with the space helmets the teacher gives them, one of Clark's classmates can't put his head in it because it is too big. The others make fun of Mickey, but Clark helps him out, slightly ripping the back of the helmet with his strength and giving him enough room. At lunch, everyone is talking about the feats Clark has done, from helping Mickey out in class to chasing off some bullies. One person who isn't buying any of all the talk about Clark is Lana Lang, who thinks he's just some normal kid. Clark hangs out with his friends, who all are seen as weirdos in the school. Clark tells them how to deal with bullies and how to turn the other cheek, and one of his friends know that nothing busts Clark up, stabbing him in the hand with a pen, which does nothing to Clark's hand. His friends can't believe he was stabbed by Jeremy, but he waves it away as a trick of the light, since he would have been injured if he had been stabbed. The next day, Clark learns his friends aren't being bullied thanks to Clark tying up a naked bully in the girls' shower room. Clark says he had nothing to do with that, as some of the bullies walk by, calling them out that they're going to get what's coming to them. Clark knows that this has gone on for way too long and won't take it anymore. Later on, he finds the bullies are back at it again, this time picking on Pete Ross again by filling up his locker with antiseptic liquid, ruining his schoolwork. Clark knows which bully did this, as Pete says that he can't take the bullying anymore. Clark wants to go to the principal, but Pete doesn't want to snitch since it'll make things worse. The bully's laughter angers Clark since it's so heartless and thoughtless. Going home, Clark asks his parents what he should do, whether he should talk with them or fight them. Martha doesn't want any talk about violence at the dinner table, but Jonathan says that he should talk with them, then if that doesn't work, he should flatten them. Martha tells him that they should stop talking, but Clark wants to stop his friends from being so scared, but Jonathan tells him to listen to his mother, who won't have him getting himself hurt or hurt somebody else. The next morning, Clark's friends walk to school, and the bullies return, this time egging them, causing them to go home and change their clothes. Later at school, Clark is told what happened and how everyone, including the teachers and parents, are scared of the bullies. Clark knows it's time for a talk, so he confronts the bullies, telling them that his friends have never hurt anybody or even hurt them, and they better lay off. The bullies wonder if he's picking a fight, and Clark does absolutely nothing, merely putting his arm out as one of the bullies tries to rush him, causing him to fall back. Clark knows to show restraint, trying not to lose his temper as he blocks one of the bully's punches, causing him to break his hand. The bullies run off, and soon Clark's parents are called into the principal's office to meet with the principal and the bully's parents. Martha is upset at her son and what he did, but he defends himself by saying that the kid was bullying his friends and all he did was block one of his punches. The principal gives the bully 10-day suspension, while Clark, a new student and first up in the principal's office, gets 10 days of cleaning the boys' bathroom with Otis. At home, Clark wonders what he should have done to the bad guys, with Martha saying that not everyone is really bad, some people are just confused. Later, Jonathan comes to see Clark in his room, saying nobody's always right about everything and he needs to take the high road. Doing that may see him being taken advantage of, but he knows his son isn't anyone's doormat. Jonathan knows that his son isn't something the world has seen before and he's going to change it for the better. Clark ponders his father's words while sitting on top of a grain silo, knowing his father is getting a little too cosmic for his liking. Clark returns to school as a hero, with all of the kids knowing what he did to the bullies, but they still continue to pick on the others, this time actually beating one of his friends up. Clark feels somewhat disheartened, knowing that what he did didn't have any effect on the bullies, and he's only made things worse. The bullies have in fact gotten bolder, this time continuing the beatings of Clark's friends, but never actually coming for him, alienating Clark from them, as none of them want to be around him now. As he sits on the bus alone, Lana meets with him, saying that she and Clark will stop Markham and his gang for good since she has loads of pictures she wants to take to the cops of what the gang have been up to, which will lead to them being arrested. Lana tells Clark to meet her at her place that night as Jeremy listens in. That night, Clark rushes through dinner, making up excuses about meeting Lana. Lana meanwhile meets with who she thinks is Clark, but it is actually Markham and his gang, who were alerted to what Lana are up to thanks to Jeremy. The gang assault her and demand her camera and pictures, but before they can seriously injure her, the gang disappears, suddenly thrown around the yard by an unseen force. The entire gang are taken down by the hooded Clark, who grabs Lana and waves off his fighting as something Pa taught him. Clark actually flies with Lana, who has no idea how it is happening or what Clark is doing. Clark tells Lana about his powers, as she says that they have everything they need to take down Markham and his gang. Clark says that they had to dig up the truth if they want to get justice, just like a reporter. Clark wants to pick Lana up from school in the morning, and she suggests that they take the bus, since flying into school might raise a few questions. Leaving the house, Clark flies off, telling Lana she will learn his secrets once he's allowed to court her a little first. As they reach finals week, Clark and Lana study, with Clark speed reading through most of the entire library during their study session. Clark and Lana's relationship grows and the two of them share summer together, having family barbecues and going to the movies. Clark knows that he is indeed in love with Lana, and going to his secret spot, his fortress of solitude, he stops hiding, flying around the fields, surfing the wind and teaching himself some fancy flying moves he hopes to show Lana sometime. Later, Clark plays football with the Smallville Wolves, not holding back as the other team try and take him down, but not even 4 other players can slow him. Everyone goes crazy, but his parents aren't impressed with his showboating. Clark single-handedly wins the match for his school. He's hailed as a champion as Lana kisses him and the team lead him off to celebrate. Days later, Clark helps his father tend to the fields and the cattle. Jonathan wonders what his son is going to find himself doing now that he's finished school, and Clark says that he's going to go out and get to know his planet. He says he's beginning with the ocean since that's where most life is, and that there is more water on Earth than land. Pa knows that he's given this a bit of thought, it seems, and Clark says that he has, and it's time for him to go soon, and he has enlisted himself in the Navy. Jonathan thought that he would go off to college since they've actually been saving for that, but Clark wants them to use that money for themselves, and he will, once he's set up, send them money as well. Clark tells him that the seas call for him and the whole planet is, and he's just got to see it all and learn why he's got these amazing powers. Jonathan knows that this is so he can figure out what to do with those powers and not just show off with them. The two men head to the house, wondering how Martha will take the news, and Jonathan has no idea on how to predict his wife, even though he's been married to her his whole life. The men go inside, telling Martha about Clark's plans to leave home, and even though he keeps telling her it will be fine, she knows it won't, since Clark can Kent is leaving home. Early the next day, Ma and Pa wonder where Clark could be as he is headed off to see Lana one final time. Clark kisses Lana, telling her that he won't be gone forever and he will never forget her. He returns home to find the bus waiting for him, and the CEO in charge is annoyed Clark is running late, but he arrives, saying goodbye to his mother and father, telling them that he will do his best every step of the way. Before he leaves, Martha gifts him a red cape of sorts, saying they found it on him when they found him in the field, and since it's quite tough, it might help him where he's going. Boarding the bus, it pulls away, and Clark settles in, reading a book about old battles as others around him talk to their sweethearts or their mothers. He begins to think of Lana, thinking he can hear her voice, and looking out the window, his telescopic vision activates, and he can see all the way to Lana's house, where she is standing on the roof with a note that reads that she loves Clark. The bus continues and Clark soon falls asleep, thinking of Krypton's destruction. He's jolted awake by his CO as they pull into the Naval Academy at the Great Lakes. He takes in everything around him, watching jets come in hard and fast to the base. Knowing Krypton and even Smallville are behind him now, Clark knows a new day is dawning and new challenges await him, and he is ready for them. Superman Year One was surprisingly a pretty decent book, considering I was expecting the worst thanks to it obviously being from Frank Miller, whose last 2 decades of work have actually been pretty awful in almost every regard. This retelling of Clark's Smallville days was actually handled rather well, and I guess maybe some restraint from Miller, since I expected him to kind of inject his politics into Ma and Pa Kent a little bit. That was the one thing I was really worried about, but it never really shows here, since we get to see his core beliefs sort of develop over this large issue, this 60+ page issue, and it's just him learning from his parents about being a good man and standing up for the little guy. John Romita Jr.'s art, while some people hate, and rightly so they should, was even good in this book, as it looks like there was a little bit more time put into it, not like how his work on books that are like monthly or bi-weekly kind of look rushed a little bit, whereas this one has been in development for a while, so he's had time to sort of develop it and draw it properly. I'm interested in the next issue, especially since Clark is now in the Navy and in the military, which is an interesting place to take him, and obviously this is the Dark Knight Returns Superman, so I'm interested to see how he becomes that Superman that we see in the Dark Knight Returns and Dark Knight 3 and all that sort of stuff. Very intrigued to see how he ends up that kind of corrupt power. I'm going to give this issue an 8 out of 10.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching my newest video. If you enjoyed it, you might also like to check out my other reviews here on my channel. You can also follow me on various social media platforms like Twitter by searching Matt_FOS, or even join the Comic Multiverse Discord server and chat with other comic book fans, including myself and Joel from Cape Joel. Want cheap comics and trades? Head over to the Book Depository with the link in the description to get the cheapest trades and comics around, along with free shipping anywhere in the world. Until next time, this has been Matt of the Fortress of Solitude. Thank you so much for watching.